Okay, hello everyone. So Kelly and Sarah and myself we're a very collaborative leadership team of the NORML Women's Alliance of Canada. And we are here in conjunction with NORML Canada as well because 2 years ago in the United States, the Women's Alliance of Canada, NORML Women's Alliance of the United States got started and realized that there was a really important conversation that needed to happen across the United States. A woman-to-woman kind of forum where people could come and find out more, and we could engage those eventually in voters, such as in Washington State and in Colorado. So a year ago, in January of 2012, was really the kind of kickoff after the negotiations. The NORML Women's Alliance of Canada got started, and we are now, a year later, we are coast to coast. We're working on the shoulders of very dedicated volunteers in the form of our community leaders. So we have representation from Halifax over up to Yellowknife, over to Vancouver, and aussi en français, on a besoin de plus d'aide ici au Québec, mais il y a des choses qu'on peut faire. We have our community leader. She is an Anglophone in Montreal, but we are working in Montreal. We have done our activities there. Kelly asked me to step in as a national spokesperson for the NORML Women's Alliance of Canada because I agree we need to reach out to the 25% of the francophones as well as the anglophones. So we continue to do that and work as best as we can with the volunteers that we have. We have currently about 200 active members that are in the form of volunteers across the country, and we're putting in hundreds of hours of volunteer time to try to do the work that we are. Can I just drink a little water? Thank you. Some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in the first year is we've been able to have numerous meetings with politicians because we do believe that that's part of the dialogue that we need to do. When Kelly and I show up in Ottawa to have meetings with MPs, we are dressed in our suits and we walk the walk of the mainstream talk. I really hate to use the term mainstream, but I am the kind of voter that you want. I am the non-consumer who believes that prohibition causes more harm in Canada and that we need to end it. And I think this is amazing. Thank you so much, Bob, for the opportunity to be here together, because this is very inspiring to see all the different kinds of interests and how we're all on the same page. You know, there's one common cause, that we want to end prohibition, and we want to encourage what we can do for Canadian society and also the Canadian economy. I'm sorry, I've just lost my breath. So we do what we can with our volunteer power. We try to have those dialogues with our politicians. We're also trying to provide outreach and education, in particular to women across the country, but of course our events are always inclusive. We like to encourage anyone to attend. One of the educational outreach programs that we're doing is that we have permission from Brett Harvey and Adam Scorby to screen the Union, the Business Behind Any Time, across Canada as much as we can. And we are finding that's a very effective educational tool, because anyone with no knowledge of the cannabis community can sit and watch that movie and understand why prohibition needs to end. So that's been very useful for us. Although what we do recognize is that we need more person power. That what we're doing with our volunteers as we have them is great, but when you want to run something like a successful education event, you also need lots of power out there to get the message out, to get the bodies in the room, to start spreading that message. But we have realized that there is, in order for us to really be effective working with the political parties, for example, too, we really do need to stretch out beyond the cannabis community. So we need to reach out to people who have misinformation in their head or lack of information, want to know as a voter in Canada why they might choose to support a particular party because they actually like their policy on prohibition. And then be able to answer those questions and to be able to provide that dialogue. And what we are finding too, and what the Women's Alliance in the United States is finding, is that's where the women, that's where we as women can come in to be that open door of communication, so that people can start to ask the questions. Philippe and I were talking about how we're both former high school teachers. And you know, it's that kind of background that drew me, for example, to say that I wanted to get involved, because it was frustrating that I couldn't have conversations in my high school classes about responsible cannabis usage. I could have drunk driving messages. I could have all sorts of fancy assemblies, you know, about not drinking and driving, about the harms of tobacco, but we weren't allowed to discuss cannabis. So this is the kind of forum that the that the Women's Alliance of Canada would like to get past, is where people can actually come and have dialogue on what could the end of prohibition look like in Canada and why is it beneficial. So that's where we are. It's who we are. It's what we're doing. Our political action. Sarah, Kelly, what else do you want to add?
Anything?
Yeah.
I think I want to thank Bob first of all, because this is so wonderful. Like it's unprecedented, and I think we're all greatly appreciative. I guess because we're all from Ontario, and what you guys are doing out here in BC is phenomenal, and we're in complete support, and we actually want to be here and help you next fall. But we're very focused on Ottawa. A lot of our work, well, I would say over 50% of our work is in Ottawa. So we feel very strongly for the future, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but for the future, to have a space or a presence full-time in Ottawa for all of our different interests is something that we really, we would want. All reputable lobby groups have a space in Ottawa. I think it would benefit us all. So that's something that is really at the top of our wish list, dream list.
Right. So which would start out as an education center, but by the year 2015 could convert into an actual action center to pull the vote. Because we believe the other organizations that have gone before us here that have been talking, that the way in Canada that we can change things, we don't have, unfortunately, we're not all like BC, so we don't have that great mechanism in which you can put a question in front of voters. The way we can get voters to express what they want is to support the political parties that are going to support the policies that we want, so we can have a chance to have that dialogue. We operate as a non-partisan organization, or multi-partisan. You know, a number of us belong to different organizations, and we want to work and have that communication with as many as we can in order to get things changed on a federal level here. So if we can turn into a headquarters where we can actually work on getting people out in the cannabis community and outside the cannabis community, supporting parties that are going to support the policies that we want, then we can make some progress on that particular level. Sarah?
I think you did a very good job. I think that we're just trying to identify women that are sympathizers. We're trying to give them the tools to identify other people and convert other people, and just keep sort of growing like a tentacled sort of mass, and move towards the next election and just see if we can just mobilize those people and just take it over.
So you're on camera too.
Yeah, Sarah's got a good point. It's exponential growth that we'd really like to be able to do. I mentioned that we have our community leaders in our major urban areas across Canada, because that's where we could get started. But that isn't the end of Canada. That's not coast to coast to coast. We really need to be able to work with pockets of volunteers that are working everywhere. So we've devised a 4-year strategy for our organization from 2012 to 2015. We'd like to grow that leadership and that support network of volunteers right on into 338 electoral district leaders by 2015, so that in every single riding in Canada...
There'll be 338 in 2015.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, that's right, exactly. Yeah, 338. We're going to have to add the extra 30 in there, because we want to make sure that in every single corner of Canada we can give somebody a call and say, here's the action plan. You know, can you get out? Can you start canvassing? Can you do the door knocking? Can you do the phone calling? Can you make sure that as many people are educated on what the parties are offering in terms of prohibition and what we can do to support them? So that is an excellent point, that we really want to grow that, so that what we do in one place can be duplicated over and over and over again. And creating the national supporter list will go with that as well. If we can formalize a list of women across Canada who believe in our belief statement, which is that we believe that prohibition causes harm in Canada, and that our communities and our children will be safer, and our Canadian economy will be better off with legalization through the form of taxation and regulation. If we can build a supporter list of women, then we can go to the politicians we're talking to and say, we have X number of women across Canada who are all voters, who are all saying they want this policy changed. So that will be our strength in numbers as well.
And we're replicating a little bit of what the women of Wandsworth did, right? I mean, that's our template, right? So we know it worked then, and you know, we're just a different voice, and we're all in this together.
Can you get a cost estimate on the Ottawa office?
I will.
Yes.
I
We've
do
been
have
working on
several
that.
variables of it, John, and I think we have it with us. Okay?
Yeah,
we-
absolutely. And we've got a couple different sort of educational programs that we're working on, and a few other little initiatives and sort of
But
pride.
the kind of collaboration that we see here is great, because there's no point, you know, we were talking about that earlier with Michaela as well, you know, having our academic talk here together. There's no point in reinventing wheels and having 6 different groups all trying to do the same thing and not having enough money and enough human resources to do it. So when somebody comes forward and says, I can provide an excellent research document, and we can come forward and say, we're the vehicle of communication with 51% of your voting population in Canada, the woman that we can reach out to, regardless of where they come from, cannabis community, not cannabis community, non-consumer, medical consumer, recreational. We can be on the same page as everyone. We can reach out to those women. We can take good stuff and share it, because maybe that organization doesn't have time to share that across Canada.
And men, I mean, I forget who I was talking to this morning, but it's a conversation we have a lot, is that we have a different voice, women have a different voice. Oh, it was you, John, actually. And so, sometimes we come across differently when we're speaking, not just in public, but one-on-one. And I'm thinking specifically of the politicians, you know, it's just a different voice, right? Like, same as the women of Waterford, where the mothers, the children. I'm an aunt, the aunts.
Do they know who Wamper is?
Women,
It's a historical women's organization that helped end prohibition.
women's organization.
When you look at the key messaging of the new Approach Washington, for example, you see all of those safe messages. You watch their ad, well, they've actually pulled the ads off of their website now. You know, the mom sitting there and talking about it, saying, I'm not interested in using it, but I'm interested in a safer community for my kids. You know, somebody else, it could be a dad as well as a mom, who stands up and says, you know, please card my kid. I'd like my kid to have the difficulty in purchasing cannabis under the age of adulthood in the same way as alcohol. You know, let's treat it as the same kind of framework. If we can have those conversations, then we can appeal to a much wider audience.
Just a different
Because,
voice.
yeah, those ideas will resonate as well. And really all we are is an echo of the same kind of issues that are important for every dad out there as well as every mom. They're, like Kelly said, we're exclusive to having conversations with women, but we are recognizing what they did in the States, that there was a missing forum. There was a lack of a place where somebody who was really unfamiliar with the cannabis community could go to seek information and to start a dialogue about what is the accurate information about cannabis, health and regulation. So I don't wanna take, that's longer than 3 minutes, so.
Yay, Normal Women's
I need to go to the washroom.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
And actually, would you believe I forgot something?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stuck my foot out now. Bob, wanna say something?
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, I know some of the people were their talk, like Blair, and that was shortened because of the, you know, suggested 3-minute rule, and but tomorrow, I think, you know, right away, we should all make sure that we do have the media here tomorrow, and a lot of this discussion will be repeated, but can be expanded on, and as soon as we have breakfast, and then go from there as well, eh? So, yeah. Sure, go ahead. We're on a potty break. Anybody wants to use the washrooms? Yeah. If you need a drink of water,
I
go.
would just like to say one very important group missing from here, and that's the students. Yeah,
The who?
The Canadian students.
Well, when we get an expanded list, you know, tomorrow, and everybody hand in their preference, you know, their priority funding.
Well, Andrea, I was gonna ask you, you guys consider charity?
With some of the well-known people.
Everybody here is well known.
Okay.
We're thinking Dana Larson and people like that.
Dana Larson, there's another, John Conroy, you got the women's,
And it's a much better way to get national press, just because they're there.
I just mostly want a picture of you and then I gotta go, like you with some of the people and then I gotta go. Margaret, the standard. Terrace standard. It was $10,000 for our Christmas
Well,
party.
we should have everybody, Dana Larson, she's gonna take a picture.
John Conroy?
Get everybody, but I'd like to close it with names. And I've been here for some of it, I think I started when the data was